Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriya Nashprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhagavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 9, Detachment from all that is material. Text 21 onwards. Yathornanabhir hridyat urnam santatya vakrataha taya vihritya bhuyastam grasyati evam maheshvaraha. Just as from within himself the spider expands thread through his mouth, plays with it for some time, and eventually swallows it. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead expands his personal potency from within himself. Thus, the Lord displays the network of cosmic manifestation, utilizes it according to his purpose, and eventually withdraws it completely within himself. So one who is intelligent obtains spiritual knowledge even from an insignificant creature like the spider. Thus a transcendental knowledge is visible everywhere for one whose eyes are opened in Krishna consciousness. So just like spider, of course, Lord is not like a spider, but this is how he presents, he manifests the creation and ultimately goes back in him. And when the creation is manifested, it comes, performs his pastimes, and the creation then goes back in him. Yatra yatra manodehi dharyeta sakalam dhiya sneha dveshad bhayadvapi yati tattat swarupatam. If out of love, hate, or fear, an embodied soul fixes its mind with intelligence and complete concentration upon a particular form, he will certainly attain the form that he is meditating upon. From this verse, it is not hard to understand that if one constantly meditates upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one will achieve a spiritual body just like that of the Lord. The word dhiya with intelligence indicates complete intellectual conviction in a particular understanding. And similarly, the word sakalam indicates one pointed attention of the mind. With such complete absorption of consciousness, surely one will attain in next life a form exactly like that upon which one was meditating. This is another example learned from the insect kingdom as explained in the following verse. So Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, that whatever our consciousness is at the time of death, or where he says, wherever we fixes our mind at the time of death, that form will attain next life without fail. So similarly, it is explained here. And what this Brahman saw, or what he saw was, Kita Peshas Kritam Dhyayan Kudyam Tena Praveshita Yati Tat Satmatam Rajan Purva Rupam Asantyajan. O king, once a wasp forced a weaker insect to enter his hive and kept him trapped there. In great fear, the weak insect constantly meditated upon his captor, and without giving up his body, he gradually achieved the same state of existence as a wasp. Thus, one achieves a state of existence according to one's constant concentration. The following question may be raised. Since a weaker insect in this story did not physically change his body, how can it be said that he achieved the same state of existence as a wasp? Actually, by constant meditation upon a particular object, one's consciousness becomes filled with its qualities. Due to extreme fear, the smaller insect was absorbed in the characteristics and activities of the large wasp, and thus entered into the existence of the wasp. Due to such meditation, he actually took the body of a wasp in his next life. So his consciousness was completely absorbed in the thoughts, in the activities, in the form of the wasp. So this is what because he was fearful, he was about to die, and the wasp was about to kill him, and he was only looking at the wasp. Similarly, although we are conditioned souls, if we absorb our consciousness in Lord Krishna, we can become liberated even before giving up our present body. If our intelligence becomes steady on the spiritual platform by understanding that Lord Krishna is everything, then we can give up unnecessary consciousness of the external body and absorb ourselves in the spiritual pastimes of Vaikuntha. Thus, even before death, one can raise oneself to the spiritual platform and enjoy life as a liberated soul. Or if one is a stubborn fool, then even in this life, one can imagine, one can become just like an animal, such as a hog or a dog, constantly thinking of eating and sex life. But human life is actually meant for understanding the signs of consciousness and the future results of our meditation. So something or other we will be meditating on, whether for a few hours in a day or for a few minutes in a day, and the object of meditation can keep on changing. But something we'll be focusing on throughout our day. Whether it is our child and we are getting him or her ready for school and cooking for him, or playing with whatever, or it could be our spouse, could be our parents, could be our loved ones, friends, maybe boss. If he's giving us a hard time in the office, we could be concentrating, thinking of him. But this is where devotees or Prabhupada has given us a path. Even though we are doing our duties, we should be thinking of Krishna. Krishna told Arjuna, you fight this war, but think of me. It's not that easy. We think bhakti is very easy. We just chant and we think. No, it's not that easy. Yes, we chant, but how many of us do attentive chanting? Even if you just think of the holy name of Krishna, that is not different from Krishna. But while chanting also, our mind goes all over the universe actually. And somehow or other, we have to drag him back, bring it back. No, come, chant, concentrate on the holy names. And that is why so many things Prabhupada has given. Deities are there, services are there, reading is there, chanting is there, cooking is there for the deities. So many activities. And now we have a computer screen, we can have the slideshow, the picture as the background of Krishna. So the idea is constantly think of Krishna. That's all. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. But that is a test. That is a test. Evam gurubhya etebhya esha me shikshitamati swatmopashikshitam buddhim shranu me vadataha prabhu. O King, from all these spiritual masters I have acquired great wisdom. Now please listen as I explain what I learned from my own body. Deho gurur mama virakti viveka hetur vibhratsma sattva nidhanam satatar yudarkam satvanyena vimrishyami yatha tathapi parakyam iti avasito vicharamya sangaha. The material body is also my spiritual master because it teaches me detachment. Being subject to creation and destruction, it always comes to a painful end. Thus, although using my body to acquire knowledge, I always remember that it will ultimately be consumed by others, and remaining detached, I move about this world. The words yatha tathapi are significant in this verse. Although the body bestows great benefit by enabling one to learn about this world, one should always remember its unhappy, inevitable future. If cremated, the body is burned to ashes by fire. If lost in a lonely place, it is consumed by jackals and vultures. And if buried in a luxurious coffin, it decomposes and is consumed by insignificant insects and worms. Thus, it is described as parakyam, ultimately to be consumed by others. One should, however, carefully maintain bodily health to execute Krishna consciousness, but without undue affection or attachment. By studying the body's birth and death, one can acquire virakti viveka, the intelligence to detach oneself from useless things. The word avasita indicates conviction. One should be convinced of all the truths of Krishna consciousness. So body, yes, it's a wonderful human form we got, but it should be only used in the service of Krishna. We have to maintain it so that we can execute Krishna consciousness properly. But in the end, this is going to happen. Either we are cremated or buried, or if we die in some place lonely and nobody knows, then this body will be eaten up by jackals and vultures. This is how body is going to finish. So why get so attached to this body? And attachment has to be there because the soul has all these wonderful qualities of Krishna. And Krishna is attached to, not to our bodies, but to the souls, to all living entities. He is attached. He says, I'm the seed-giving father. So the ultimate, because the quality is in Krishna, we get that quality. So attachment has to be there. But the object of attachment, that's what we have to see. Who are we getting attached to? Krishna or this body or the byproducts of this body? Jayatma jartha pashu bhritya grihapt vargan pushnati yat priya chikirshaya vitanvan swante sakritshram avaruddha dhana sadeha shrishtvasya bijam avasidati vriksha dharma. A man attached to the body accumulates money with great struggle to expand and protect the position of his wife, children, property, domestic animals, servants, homes, relatives, friends, and so on. He does all this for the gratification of his own body. As a tree before dying produces the seed of a future tree, the dying body manifests the seed of one's next material body in the form of one's accumulated karma. Thus assuring the continuation of material existence, the material body sinks down and dies. One might argue, among all the gurus mentioned thus far, the material body is certainly the best, since it affords the detachment and fine intelligence that enable one to engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Thus, we should serve the body, although it is temporary, with great attachment, or risk the offense of ungratefulness. How can detachment from the body be recommended when the body is endowed with so many wonderful qualities? The answer is given in this verse. The body does not award detachment and knowledge in the manner of the same benevolent teacher. Rather, it causes so much pain and misery that any common sense person cannot help being convinced of the uselessness of material life. Yes, so much pain and misery is given by this body. And the miseries are not just by this body. Adivautik, adidevik, adhyatmik klesha, all given through this body. And if we still think getting a next body, I might not go through the same problems. And just hope against hope. There's no such thing. The material world Krishna has designed like this. It is designed to give us problems. And anytime we have a material body, we will go through these problems. Just as a tree produces the seeds of the next tree and then dies, the body's lusty desires induce the conditioned soul to create a further chain of karma. Finally, the body, having paved the way for unlimited suffering in material existence, drops dead. Means we got problems in this lifetime and then we die and we have more problems waiting for us next lifetime. What's the point? What's the point in having a material body again? According to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Deha indicates both the gross body and the subtle mental body. Those who do not clearly understand the difference between body and soul falsely think that body and soul are identical and that one can find perfect happiness in bodily sense gratification. But those who foolishly accept the temporary body as all important cannot be compared with self-realized souls who intelligently understand the superiority of the eternal soul. So 99.9% of population, human population, rest of them are always in body consciousness. And even human population also. Vast majority is in body consciousness, acting, working, thinking in terms of body and what kind of body we're going to get next. Then definitely we know they will get next material body. But horrible life. Jivakato amum pakarashati karhi tarasha shishno anyatas gudaram shravanam kutaschit grano anyatas chapal drik chakarma shaktir bhavya sapatnya iv gehapatim lunanti. A man who has many wives is constantly harassed by them. He is responsible for their maintenance, and thus all the ladies constantly pull him in different directions, each struggling for her self-interest. The only real man is Krishna, who can handle 16,000 wives and separately living with each other, separately and satisfying that completely. But us, if we have many wives, then this is going to happen. So each struggling for her self-interest. Similarly, the material senses harass the conditioned soul, pulling him in many different directions at once. On one side, the tongue is pulling him to arrange tasty food. Then thirst drags him to get a suitable drink. Simultaneously, the sex organs clamor for satisfaction, and the sense of touch demands soft, sensuous subjects. The belly harasses him until it is filled. The ears demand to hear pleasing sounds. The sense of smell hankers for pleasant aromas, and the fickle eyes clamor for pleasing sights. Thus the sense organs and limbs, all desiring satisfaction, pull the living entity in many directions. So good luck in having a peaceful life. There's no way. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions that after understanding this verse, one should merely offer without attachment the bare necessities to the guru of one's body. One should keep one's body fit and working in the simplest possible way, and that is the sum and substance of service to this so-called guru. So guru, this body is a guru, and just give him simplest things. If one desires to faithfully serve the body, one should consider that the body pulls the consciousness of the conditioned soul in many ways at once. And thus, for the servant of the body, there is no possibility of understanding God or even of becoming peaceful. So this is how difficult it is. That is why this tapasya is important. Austerity. So we can control the senses. But it is difficult. It's very, very difficult because this is how Krishna has designed this body and the senses. Svistva Purani Vividhani Jayatma Shakti Vrikshan Sari Srip Pashun Khagdanda Shukan Taster Tushta Hridaya Purusham Vidhaya Brahmavalokadhishanam Mudamap Deva. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, expanding his own potency, Maya Shakti, created innumerable species of life to house the conditioned souls. Yet by creating the forms of trees, reptiles, animals, birds, snakes, and so on, the Lord was not satisfied within his heart. Then he created human life, which offers the conditioned soul sufficient intelligence to perceive the absolute truth and become pleased. God has specifically created the human form of life to facilitate the liberation of the conditioned soul. Therefore, one who abuses human life prepares his path to hell. As stated in the Vedas, Purushatve Chavistaram Atma. In the human form of life, there is good possibility of understanding the eternal soul. The Vedas also state the purport of this Shuddhi Mantra is that lower forms of life, such as a cow and horse, are not actually suitable to fulfill the purpose of creation. But human life affords the opportunity to understand one's eternal relationship with God. Thus, one must control the material senses and fulfill the real purpose of human life. If one takes to Krishna consciousness, the Supreme Lord personally feels happiness and gradually reveals himself to his devotee. So this is what the human life form is for self-realization, to take up Krishna consciousness, not to live like animals. The Lord's material creation consists of the living entities and dead matter, which the less intelligent try to enjoy. The Lord, however, is not satisfied by those species that blindly strive for sense gratification without understanding spiritual nature. We are suffering due to our forgetfulness of Krishna and the blissful situation of his abode. If we accept the Lord as protector and shelter and execute his order, we can easily revive our eternal blissful nature as parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead. So, for that, we have to take up devotional service. Otherwise, we will miss this chance, we'll miss this golden opportunity of getting this human form of life. So I'll stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisance.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, why we are always forced into forgetfulness? Is it because of our past karma or our why means every time, even though people who are following it, they also are sometimes dragged into forgetfulness? Why?
This forgetfulness is because of ignorance, right? We are ignorant. And so Maya becomes stronger. Although Maya is not that strong, as strong as a soul, because soul is part and parcel of Krishna. But since we are in this material world, and material world means full of ignorance, so it takes over. So this is what the struggle is. It is a sweet struggle that we keep on pushing ourselves to remember Krishna, to chant his names and do other things. But we tend to forget, as you said, because Maya takes over. So association and then practices, they're very, very important.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Chota, we'll stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.